Shakespeare has been taught for years in classrooms to students of all ages and cultures, but what a whole lot of these lessons ignore is the relevance of Shakespeare's works to both his time and the present. The Royal Shakespeare Company was tasked with bringing forth the relevance of one of his darkest plays, Macbeth, but they were unavailable. Instead, we will analyze, act, and interview our way to understanding Macbeth, namely its relevance to ambition, gender roles, and society. And through Shakespeare, we gain a little understanding of ourselves as well.
Next is Lady Macbeth. Who wants to do that? That's a really pretty major role. Guys?
I'll do it.
Oh, okay, cool. Lauren, thanks. Everyone alright with that? Is that cool?
Well, it's just that Lady Macbeth, she didn't really have short purple and blue hair, back then.
I think it's a good fit, especially her hair, because it's short like a man and it's dyed, which is very unnatural, and that, those are the attributes that we're trying to portray in Lady Macbeth.
So in Act 1, Scene 5, Macbeth wrote to Lady Macbeth about his journey home and how he met 3 weird sisters, and along this trip they hailed him as Theda Gloms, Theda Condor, and also King.
Yeah, and the first time she speaks, and the first thing she says is actually the words of a man.
Which, going off that idea, is I find interesting because inside the letter, Macbeth says, "My dearest partner of greatness," when he's addressing Lady Macbeth. And, in addressing Lady Macbeth as his partner of greatness, he's setting up Lady Macbeth as his equal. Which, during this time, and correct me if I'm wrong, please do, but the man is the one with the power. So for him to consider Lady Macbeth as, his partner is giving up his power as a man.
Yeah, so it's very reversed. It's very, Lady Macbeth is saying a man's words, and then Macbeth himself is speaking as if she is a man.
They met me in the day of success, and I have learned by the perfectest report they have more in them than mortal knowledge. Glons thou art, and Cawdor, and shall be what thou art promised. Yet do I fear thy nature. Thou art too full of the milk of human kindness to catch the nearest way.
She goes on to say that thou wouldst be great art not without ambition, but without the illness should attend it. She's remarking that he does have the ambition, but he doesn't really have it inside of him to actually go for it. He doesn't have the drive.
She even takes control of him. After Macbeth comes in and she begins to speak to him, she tells him, "Your hand, your tongue, look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it." She doesn't believe that he has it in him to kill the king himself. She needs to give him control and give him guidance for them to actually achieve what they want. So it's even her ambition isn't even for her though; it's for him. But she needs him as the vessel to get to the point.
I have to mention it, but being the serpent is a bit phallic. If you can go with
I
that.
suppose, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's... And then the flower is very associated with femininity.
Beth is a flower. Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah,
he's a
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a commentary on how it's important to stay in one societal role. Shakespeare was writing in a very controversial time. There was a lot of politics and stuff going on.
Whenever there's any sort of divide or unrest in a country, I think there's always that question about are we losing our values?
They don't want women to step out of their role, and they don't want men to step out of their role either.
Yeah, because Macbeth would be stepping out of his role if he killed the king. His role is just to be a lord. His role was never to be a king, and that's kind of what the rest of Macbeth reflects, that he was never set up to be a king. It was an ill-fated, attempt.
The raven himself is hoarse that croaks the fatal entrance of Duncan. Come, all you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts, unsex me here. Fill me from the crown to the toe, top full of direst cruelty. Take my milk for gall, you murdering ministers.
She interrupted filming so she could eat some cereal for lunch. I mean, who has cereal for lunch? And where'd she even keep the milk? I'll replace her milk with gall. I mean, I think there's other people who might be able to do a better job, maybe.
How about Rachel? There's Amanda.
It's me. I think I would be the best Lady Macbeth.
Oh.
1, Scene 7, where Macbeth's soliloquy. This is right before he talks to Lady Macbeth to murder Duncan.
If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it be done quickly. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence, and catch with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all and end-all here.
There's an alliteration, surcease success.
Lots of S.
Yeah,
Twisted.
yeah, it has a lot of that S sound, which, you know, you associate with, like, snakes and serpents.
It's important that, like, this is ominous and like the connection to the snake, because earlier Lady Macbeth was telling Macbeth that he's like a flower, but he needs to be like this sort of snake that's kind of hidden and beneath like the whole sentence.
So you think he's emerging from his snake hood or whatever here? Or?
I think he wants to, but like with the following sentences, he starts to go. He starts to use "but" like a lot, and he's like, "But here upon this bank." But in these cases, like he's really second guessing becoming the snake itself.
Yeah, it's like he's finding excuses not to be, because he doesn't have that total ambition yet. He's not like Lady Macbeth.
Besides, this Duncan hath borne his faculties so meek, hath been so clear in his great office, that his virtues will plead like angels, trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation of his taking off. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, only vaunting ambition, which overleaps itself and falls on the other.
What about Natalie and Laura? Oh.
Hey,
Natalie.
hey guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry I'm a little late. I brought Cheerios.
Oh, sweet. You know where Lauren is? Because you gave her a ride last time, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Yeah. I mean,
Well,
I'm here. I have the dress.
yeah, but
So-
she's Lady Macbeth.
But, like,
you still have to film her stuff.
Well, I could fill in for her, you know.
Oh.
You know.
So, right after Macbeth has his soliloquy, Lady Macbeth enters, and she pretty much starts out just like attacking him in a way.
And it seems like throughout this whole section, she's just like bashing him for not being a man.
Yeah, was the hope
Yeah.
drunk wherein you dressed yourself, you know.
Have his lips in.
Yeah, all that angry stuff, all that. She's just getting really fed up that, you know, he's, you know, been swayed in the other direction. And so it's kind of ironic because she's trying to sway him back to her.
When she first like says that, then he responds, "Prithee peace, I dare do all that may become a man. Who dares do more is none." So he's saying, it's manly for me to not kill Duncan, like to stay in my role and like be honorable.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Speaking of the role that he's supposed to stay in, like, how does this connect with, I guess, today?
I think it's more like he knows where he will. And it doesn't have to necessarily do with gender roles, more like societal roles. Like at this point, he knows what's right and what's wrong. He knows where the line is. Lady Macbeth knows, but she doesn't care. And at this point, she's trying to convince him to come in league with her.
Yeah.
So I think it's more Shakespeare's, more like entreaty to people to realize what's too far.
But nowadays it's knowing, like, what's too far and knowing, you know, how to stop yourself before you become, like, before you break the rules, you know, too much.
And in the beginning, it might even be something of not more standing up for yourself, but like standing by what you know is right. Like Macbeth breaks far too easily.
Well, he's like a bit of a baby when it all comes down to it.
Well, earlier, Macbeth in his soliloquy was saying about Duncan being killed.
And pity, like a naked newborn babe, striding the blast, or heaven's cherubim, horsed upon the sightless couriers of the air, shall blow the horrid deed in every eye.
So he's evoking images of, like, the baby, the intact baby
Okay.
that has brains still.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a positive image of babies as well. It's kind of like
Yeah, the sweet image of babies.
yeah.
Yeah, so he's like the mother here that's giving the proper like maternal.
And then, like in this scene, Lady Macbeth like does the opposite of it, and she says,
I have given suck. I know how tender it is to love the babe that milks me, and yet I would, as it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from its boneless gums and dashed the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this.
like Macbeth says, oh, it's like a baby, the pity that people would have for Duncan, and then she's like, I'll kill that baby.
Yeah, so it's twofold because it shows how like callous she is, and it shows kind of that she doesn't care about pity or emotions or anything. Because like, even though she doesn't know that she's sort of referencing his speech, like the text itself, people would kind of pick up on that. Like she would just kill babies, you know. She
Macbeth is like baby, baby, baby. Oh, and Lady Macbeth is like baby, baby, baby. No.
to reference like she had a baby before because she's saying I've breastfed a baby before. She's so far removed as a mother that she no longer has children even. You know.
So it's again the gender roles come back. She's more like a man than a woman. Macbeth, more traditionally like a woman, values life, would value a baby higher than Lady Macbeth would.
Yeah.
What beast was it then that made you break this enterprise to me? When you durst do it, then you were a man, and to be more than what you were, you'll be so much more the man. Nor time nor place did then adhere, and yet you would make both. They have made themselves, and that their fitness now does unmake you.
When she was 10, yeah.
We're in Act 5 now, and what's going on is that Lady Macbeth has been pretty crazy, hasn't she?
Yeah.
And the themes that we were talking about earlier, about how you should probably just do what you're supposed to, and not like totally switch your gender and supernatural things like that.
Yeah, they're coming back to bite her now. Yeah, she's kind of gone insane because of guilt, and it's the unnatural effects of her actions are starting to weigh down upon her. So she's having like an unnatural malady of the mind.
So really it's kind of a message from Shakespeare, like the unnatural effects of what happens once she like switches out of her role, both like societal and gender role. This is what happens to her. She just becomes a shadow of her former self.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I thought she was, maybe she had some good ideas or,
No.
Well, she totally took over Macbeth. She told him to kill the king. That could be okay, especially in Shakespearean times.
Well, she was just a little ambitious.
Not a little.
I mean,
would have been.
A little would have been like, hey, yeah, you're a thing of like clowns and Cawdor, and that's awesome, but like to kill the king.
Like, don't you think she felt guilty at the end? Like look at all the dead people.
Yeah.
It's like, can't even count that. Like,
She couldn't
At
even
least
live
10.
with herself.
I know. At the end,
Yeah.
she committed suicide.
She got everything she deserved.
I mean, that's
She reaped her. It was her own fault, really. I don't have any
that's
pity
how the
for
fight
her.
works.
I think I need to go. I think I need to go. Final milk!
What?
Hey guys,
Oh.
I was gone for a couple days because I got food poisoning. It was kind of weird, but I'm ready to film now.
She's not a bad girl, she's just ambitious.